Hello, welcome to this senior year's presentation. This year I decided to do something a little bit different and just do the presentation online versus having the regular meeting where parents can come in and I present for about an hour. I just know there's a lot going on. There's soccer games, there's work, and I just feel that this will be beneficial to parents and students to be able to view as many times as you need, to go back and reference when you're doing applications. So I just wanted to provide this to be able to be used on YouTube anytime. But I'm always available to meet in my office at the school. So just as a reminder, for Canton Prep, I am there on Mondays and Thursdays, and then at Arbor, I am there on Tuesdays and Fridays. Wednesday is kind of a float day for me. I go back and forth between the schools depending on which school needs me the most, or I'll split my day. So I'll usually do Canton in the morning and leave during lunch, and then Arbor in the afternoon. If you need to reach me, as you see, I've put my phone number and my email address. Texting me if you need to contact me throughout the day is always best, just because, again, I'm in and out the schools and sometimes I don't have service. If you've ever been at Arbor, you know that there's absolutely no service in those walls. So if you were to call me, I would definitely miss that phone call. A lot of parents always ask me about the previous year. So what did those students do? Where did they go? What are some trends that you noticed? So for Canton Prep, the top 5 schools that students attended, which has kind of stayed pretty much the same since I have been in this position, is University of Michigan Dearborn, Henry Ford, Eastern Michigan, Michigan State, and Madonna. Michigan State was huge last year, and I think it had a lot to do with us going to visit, and that really solidifying a lot of students who were interested in really saying, okay, I really am interested now that I've been to visit this campus. $2 million in scholarship monies is what they received, and this is just what I can account for. So I always tell students, make sure you bring in your scholarship information to me so that I can make note of it and recognize you for receiving that money. But if students don't bring it in, then I can only account for what I have. So $2 million is what the students received. And then for Canton Prep and Arbor Prep, the biggest trends I've noticed would be most students deciding to stay in Michigan. Even if at the beginning of the year, their plans are to go to Texas or to go to Georgia. When we receive that financial aid reports, a lot of them do decide they want to stay in Michigan, and not only staying in Michigan, but go ahead and stay home and commute or go to community college first, just so they don't receive a lot of debt. And staying true to our PrepNet mission, 100% have applied and been accepted to a four-year university. And then that FAFSA completion rate, which I'll discuss the FAFSA a little more a little later, is 76%. And I really want that number to continue to grow. The issues I see with completing the FAFSA really have nothing to do with the students, but more of the parents not having the time, not understanding how to complete it. So I really want to really hone in on that this year and really raise those FAFSA completion rates. Arbor Prep, the top 5 schools applied and attended would be Michigan State, Wayne State, Washtenaw Community College, Eastern Michigan, and University of Michigan Arbor. What's really important for students and parents at Arbor Prep to realize and remember is that for Washtenaw Community College, we have up to 5 full rides that can be applied and accepted by our seniors every year because we are a school in Washtenaw County. So it's really important that students apply to that scholarship if they are even planning to go to Washtenaw Community College. Arbor Prep received $4 million in scholarship monies, and they have a 71% FAFSA completion rate. So we're a couple of days from October. So students should have started applying to college. If they have not, they are not late. I have those application manias next week, really to kick off the excitement of starting to apply to schools. I really want students to be able to get in there and feel comfortable and kind of have an idea of the couple of schools they want to apply to. Parents often ask me, how many schools should my student apply to? And I say usually about 4 to 5 schools. I know students will apply to more. I know some parents want them to apply to more, but that's my rule of thumb. I always say 2 schools that you'll be accepted to, so your safe schools. 2 schools that are schools you are kind of nervous about. You may have to redo the SAT, but you're really interested in also. And then a reach school. I bring in college representatives throughout the week of September all the way into November for schools throughout Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana. Will decide to come and visit us and talk to our students. So it's important for juniors and seniors to sign up for those college visits and meet those reps and have those conversations. There are also 2 college fairs that I will discuss that I think are awesome, and I really encourage and push students to attend. And that is a way for parents to meet the college reps also and ask the questions and have your mind eased about your student going there. And then you want to make sure that if you're doing the Common App or the Coalition App that you use my information that's specific for your school. So that would either be T. Russell at Arbor Prep or T. Russell at Ken Prep. So speaking of the Common App, the Coalition, and the Common Black College application, I just really wanted to discuss what are the differences and some of the similarities. So between all of these applications, you're going to fill out the bulk of the information one time. So that will be your information, the student's information, the school's information. I'm going to do a report for each student one time, but each school that the student applies to through the application may require supplemental information. So let's use the Common Black College application, for example. That is for students who want to apply to historically black colleges and universities. If a student is applying to Alabama A&M, Norfolk State, and the University of Maryland, then they may have an essay that needs to be completed for each. So that will be the supplemental information, but the majority of the application only needs to be completed one time. That application is $35. There's no application fee, unfortunately, that I can give for the application, so students just have to pay the $35, and then I go in and complete a lot of the information. Some of those big HBCUs, such as Spelman, Morehouse, Howard, are not going to be on the Common Black College application. Those are going to be on the Common application. So the Common application is just that. It's a way to complete the common information one time, and then each school will have supplemental information, kind of the same as I discussed with the Common Black College application. So if a student is applying to Wayne State, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and Michigan State has one essay they have to complete. University of Michigan Ann Arbor has 2 essays they have to complete, and then Wayne State does not have one. So they would have to do that supplemental information separate than having to go in and do that bulk of information about their parents' education, their education, and goals one time. The Coalition application was created for students who are not in the regular school setting. So if a student may be in the judicial or foster care system, or a student may be homeschooled or in an online school that doesn't have a counselor, it was a way for them to still apply to those schools on the Common App without having to utilize the area that causes for counselors to have to complete information. No students in our school should be doing the Coalition app, but I know that they see it a lot, so they may be wondering what it is. All schools who are on the Coalition app are also on the Common application as of right now. So they can use the Common application, and that will assist them better due to the type of school environment that they're in. Everyone does not have to do the Common App. Everyone does not have to do the Common Black College application. If a student is applying to Western, and that's the only school they're applying to, they can still apply on Western's website. They do not have to worry about doing all that the Common App requires. But let's say a student is applying to Western and applying to University of Michigan Flint and applying to Wayne State and University of Michigan Arbor, then they're going to want to do the Common App. If they have any questions, they can always come to me. But if they're doing 3 or more schools that are all on the Common App, then the Common App should be their go-to. If they're only doing 2 schools, then go ahead and do those applications on the school's website, just so you don't have to go through everything and the essay that the Common App requires. Students want to be mindful of deadlines, so every school has a different deadline. There are schools where they'll say we have rolling admissions, such as we could use Central Michigan University that has rolling admission, but their scholarships, those deadlines are in November, December. So just be mindful of that. And then again, you see it's so important, I put it twice, that you want to make sure if you're using the Common App, if you're using the Common Black College application, that you enter my information as your counselor and enter the email that is specific to the school that I work at with you. So if you're a Ken Prep student, then you want to use trussell@kenprep.com. If you're an Arbor Prep student, then you want to use trussell@arborprep.com. The FAFSA opens October 1st, which is in a couple of days. So we want to make sure that we complete that application for the best chance of students to receive grants, loans, and work study. Of course, grants is the money that you do not have to pay back. Loans, students would have to pay back according to the interest rate of which either they take it out or when their schooling is complete. And then work study is the opportunity for them to work on campus and receive a stipend that is supposed to help with taking care of their school expenses. All of that can only be received from completing the FAFSA. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It is a document that is online that you can access at fafsa.ed.gov. It will require your 2017 tax information, and it requires you and your student to fill this out together. So sometimes parents will say, well, Ms. Russell, can my student complete it with you? Unfortunately, they cannot. It must be completed with their parent because there's a lot of information, personal information, financial information that you have to put in, that they have to put in, that I just do not have access to. If a student is receiving scholarship money from a school and you're like, we make too much money, there's no need for us to complete the FAFSA. Well, a lot of times in order to receive that scholarship, they must have a FAFSA on file. Along with the FAFSA, some private institutions, the University of Michigan Ann Arbor, require the CSS profile. The CSS profile is a FAFSA Part 2, as I call it, that goes more in depth of your taxes and how much money you make to see about sending you more money. So it's important for students to complete that too. That also opens on October 1st, and students can access that at collegeboard.org. The FAFSA, after it's completed by your family, it will come up with your EFC, and the EFC is the amount you and your family will be expected to pay for college. Based off that EFC, schools will decide how much money to send you, and they determine your financial need. If there is an issue, so let's say in 2017 you were working, but now you are not, so you're unable to pay, then we can send in something to the school to ask them to revisit your taxes, but we must go through the FAFSA application first in order to send that in and appeal to that school to get them to relook at your finances. Again, October 1st, that FAFSA opens, so you want to make sure that you'll do the 2019-2020 FAFSA application and you use your 2017 taxes. If anyone needs assistance, I am here to help you, and I will be doing appointments to assist parents and students with completing that application. In October, some deadlines start coming in. So some schools that students are applying to, those scholarship deadlines may be as early as October. I know Central Michigan and Grand Valley are one of those that have very early scholarship application deadlines. So students want to make sure they get everything into them early on to get the best chance. If a student cannot afford an application fee for a school, please have a conversation with me because I usually can work something out for the students to assist them. Not all schools require a college essay or a personal recommendation letter, but if they do, then students want to be working on these right now. Scholarships will start rolling in If I receive a scholarship, I send out an email per month to parents with all the scholarships, but I post them daily on our scholarship board. So students need to be encouraged to check the scholarship board. And then they'll want to attend Application Mania. They'll want to attend Financial Aid Night. These are held in October. And there's a list of free applications that will be during the month of October. I get that on October 1st. So October 1st, I will be giving those to students at Application Mania and sending those out to parents so that you can help them with their applications. November through January, students should be sending in any early decision or early action applications. November 1st is the most popular deadline for this. Something that I have said to students is that if they are doing the Common App, they need to have everything into me a week before it is due. So if they're applying November 1st, they cannot send me their Common applications on October 31st and expect for me to have everything done by the next day. They know this, but I encourage parents to really stay on top of them, making sure they get everything done and into me. Another popular deadline is January 1st. Now that's important because we're out of school. So if a student is submitting anything for January 1st, if they're doing like some schools have early application 1 and early application 2 deadlines. Those are a lot of schools on the East Coast, some of your Ivy League schools. So if they are applying to any schools that have a deadline that's January 1st, we're out of school, so we need to make sure that everything is done before we leave, because unfortunately I will not be looking at my email while I'm off, and none of our other school staff will either. And then continue searching for scholarships, and checking the scholarship board is very important during this time. From February to May, acceptance letters will start rolling in. So schools will start looking at applications usually October 1st, and they'll start sending them out. So we'll be getting acceptance letters and financial aid offers. I'll be meeting with students to go over their financial aid offers if they would like, so we can review, compare the financial aid packages, and really hone down on what school they think they're going to attend. Once a school has admitted them, they will start communicating with them through the school portal. So no longer will the school send any information to Tonika Russell at students@kenprep.com. It will all go to the Warrior account if they're going to Wayne State, or the Grizzly account if they're going to Oakland, or wherever they decide to go. That is the portal it will go to. So they need to remember their username and passwords that they can log in and get their information. They want to stay on top of their classes. This is when we normally see students really start messing up. We don't want anyone to have their admission decision changed, so they need to stay on top of their grades. And then May 1st is very important, because if they're going to schools that have housing, if they're going to a school that requires an admission deposit, May 1st is the date that they can put down, the first date that colleges can put for when that is due. So we don't want them to miss out on the chance for housing or a spot in the admitting class. So May 1st, I require all college decisions in, so that we can make sure that their commitment is known by the school, their deposit is in, their housing is accepted, and we are all set to get ready to graduate. During the summer, students want to request the final transcript. So their last day, I give them a senior exit questionnaire, and on that questionnaire, I say, where do you plan to go? So they plan to go to University of Michigan Dearborn. I send off their transcripts to University of Michigan Dearborn. If anyone makes a change in the summer of where they're going, they need to contact me so I can make sure their final transcript gets to that school. If a student is waitlisted or deferred is another name, so Michigan State and University of Michigan Ann Arbor are really big on deferring students. This information will start coming between February and May. And then in the summer, AP scores come out in July, so they'll need to make sure they go on College Board and send those AP scores to the school of their choice. It's really important to understand when applying to colleges that schools require a transcript and your SAT or ACT score. So on the transcripts from Ken Prep, we have their weighted GPA, their unweighted GPA, all their classes and grades from their freshman year until current, and then their SAT scores are on their transcripts also. Because ACT is not required by the state, ACT test scores are not placed on the transcript, and students will either need to do one or two things if they want to send those off to the schools. They can, one, come to me. I can print them off and send them off as an authorized counselor. Or two, they can go on ACT.org and send those scores themselves. And there'll be about $12 per score report. If a student takes the SAT and they want to resend in their scores, they can do it separately on collegeboard.org. They can go through me and I can send it out for them, or we do place them on their transcript, so that's another way. Some schools are test optional, so that will mean you do not have to send in your SAT or ACT score if you don't want, but we're going to require that you send in maybe a paper from one of your courses, your classes, so your AP English Lang class, and it has to have teacher comments, and it has to have a grade on it, and we'll take that instead of your test score. So that's really up to the student which one they would like to send in. Most students, when they're applying to test optional schools, still choose to send in their test scores. And it's important to remember, not all schools require an essay, letters of recommendation, or interview. So for students to send their transcripts to colleges, they'll go on Parchment. All of them have registered for Parchment. I've helped a majority of the students with learning how to get in there and get their transcript. But if there's still anyone who does not know how to log into Parchment, they are welcome to stop by my office and I will help them. They request a transcript, I go in, I push accept, and the transcript is sent out. Sometimes a school will send an email to the student and say, we have not received your transcript, and the student says, I did send it. Well, those emails just have not correlated together. So no fear, don't worry if you get that email and you've sent your transcript. Once their office has a chance to review and place the transcript in the student's file, then it will be accurately shown in their account and you will no longer get those emails. So there are a couple different admission types when applying to schools. So first, there's rolling admission. Rolling admission will be schools that will admit students throughout the year. So Eastern, if a student wants to apply to Eastern Michigan in March, they can. If they have the grades, they'll be admitted, and they still will be offered merit-based scholarships. University of Michigan Flint, Saginaw Valley, those are also schools. Now, when I say merit-based scholarships, it's important to remember not their highest scholarship. So Eastern has a presidential scholarship. That deadline is in October or November. University of Michigan Flint, their chancellor scholarship deadline is December. Saginaw Valley, their presidential scholarship is, I believe, in November. So other merit-based scholarships will be available, but not their highest scholarships. Then along with rolling admission, you have early admission. So early admission would be University of Michigan Ann Arbor, where a student can apply early to get an early decision. Usually they receive it on Christmas Eve, which can sometimes be a great Christmas or unfortunately not a good one. And they are not, it's called non-binding because they're not required to attend the school if they're admitted. Early decision is the same thing as early admission, except they are in a binding contract. They sign a contract stating that if they are admitted and given sufficient financial aid, they will come to that school. So it's very important that students are clear that if they're applying to early decision school, it's almost like they are required to attend if they are admitted. If a student applies to early decision, I have to sign off on it. So I always have a conversation with the student, letting them know this is early decision, not an early admission school. So if you're admitted, this is where you're going. And most of them say, oh, I'll wait and apply for regular decision. But some of them, such as students who are applying to the University of Detroit Mercy and really want to go into their pharmacy school or dentistry, will say, yes, I want to go to University of Detroit Mercy, so go ahead and send my information in. And then you have schools with regular decisions. So these would be schools that participate in early admission and early decision. And then they have another regular decision deadline for students who do not want to be a part of the earlier decision times. This will be for students who are planning to retake the SAT or maybe have transferred schools and really want the time to establish a new GPA at their new school. And while I'm talking about transferring schools, something that I didn't mention with Parchment in the earlier slide is that if a student has transferred to Canton Prep or Arbor Prep from another school, they also have to set up Parchment to have their previous school's transcript sent to the schools they're applying to too. So if freshman and sophomore year they went to the Park or they went to Ypsilanti High School and they came to us 11th and 12th grade, then they'll have to set up Parchment with us and set up Parchment to have their transcript from the Park or Ypsilanti High School sent to the school also, so that the schools can have a complete record of all their high school academics. So after students apply, there are 3 types of decisions that they will receive. One could be, unfortunately, a deny, which students would need to look at either transferring into that school, or a school may say, if you get this test score and this GPA, then we might be able to admit you. They could also get deferred. So Michigan State and University of Michigan Arbor are really big for this, where they say we're going to hold on to your application until the spring, and then we'll let you know then if we are admitted. Sometimes students can send in more information. Sometimes the school doesn't want anything, just more time to think about if they want the student admitted or not. And then also they could get an admission, which would be a congratulations, get your college accepted shirt, let's put your picture up and decide if it's the school that you want to attend. When I talked about local college fairs, Schoolcraft College Fair is on the 2nd. This is a wonderful fair. If you are thinking about a school outside of Michigan or some of those Ivy Leagues, they all attend. You have a great opportunity to talk to them and get information from them. And then another fair that's happening at the Infinite Scholars Fair is going to be at Canton High School. This is a great fair because schools usually offer scholarships and admission on site. So they will let students know right then if they're admitted to the school and how much they're going to receive for scholarship money. This is a good fair if you're thinking about a historically black college and university also. I will be going to that fair from 4 until 5. So if you want to attend while I'm there, then you're more than welcome to, but you can go anytime. Students who are going to the Infinite Scholars Fair, I'm asking them to sign in with me next week because I need to print out their transcripts. I need to make sure they've registered. I need to make sure they have everything they need in order to be as successful as possible at this fair. For the senior project, it's very important for students to continue to go to their senior advisory teacher. But one thing I really want to hone in on is that if a student is applying to, let's say, the nursing school at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor, that is a demonstrated interest program. So they are looking for students who have shown interest, who have something to show that they are interested in nursing because they start automatically taking nursing classes. The same with their architecture program. So if a student does their senior project and does it well, and if they want to be a nurse and they shadow a nurse, that is that demonstrated interest. So I don't think students really understand how important a senior project can be and how much it can be used when doing college applications. But I thought that was a great example of why it's very important for students to take their senior project seriously. This is just some pictures of me working with students, trying to help them decide how are they going to pay for school, looking at some deal breakers, looking at how much MSU costs with all their grants and their loans, looking at 2 different schools and comparing how much they will receive. So again, I offer continued support. So I contact students throughout the summer after they have graduated to make sure everything is working out. If they do not answer me back, I contact them one more time and then I leave them alone because Obviously, they don't want to talk to me, but usually I have great conversation and I'm able to help students not experience that summer melt, which is when students just decide to go nowhere because unfortunately life happened, and I really try to hone in on that and assist them with that. So for parents to remember, please apply for free and reduced lunch. Even if you think you're not going to receive it, just apply because you can get money off for AP tests. It goes from about $90 to about $20. I can assist with paying for the SAT and ACT, and I also can assist with paying for college applications. TIP is for students who have received Medicaid for 24 months straight within a 36-month period. I have contacted all those parents who are eligible for TIP. Students have to have their social security number in order to complete an application. If they do not have it, there's really nothing we can do. We must stop the application because it won't let us proceed. Some parents prefer to give it to me on the phone. Some parents prefer to have it in the student's phone. Some parents prefer for the student to remember it. Some parents want the student to call them every time. It's really up to you, but just know that it's something that they need. If they don't receive free reduced lunch, they have to pay for those applications if they have the money, and then some schools even require an admission deposit in order to secure a spot there. If they're doing the Common App or require a letter of recommendation from me, they must complete a brag sheet, and those are in my office for them to get anytime. I need students to use their college visits wisely. So sometimes the college will come and say, do you have any questions? No one in the room says anything. The college admission counselor leaves, and then the students ask me 20 questions. And I say, they were just here. So it's very important for the students to use those visits wisely. I know a lot of students don't want to ask those questions in front of everyone, but I always give them a chance after to stay after and have a conversation with the admissions counselor. And then family conversations are so important. Again, family conversations are so important. I can't even begin to count the times that I've had conversations with students who want to go to UCLA or want to go to UC Berkeley, or they're going to Spelman, or they're going to Austin College. And then I have a conversation with the parents, and the parents say, oh no, they need to look at going to Eastern, or they need to look at going to the University of Michigan Dearborn. So having those conversations with your students up front, letting them know how much money you're expecting for them to contribute, if any, letting them know what your expectations are for them going away to school, what you will support, will really help them and help me to be able to frame the work we do and make it as beneficial to them as possible. Please continue to tell your students how important advisory is. I have a meeting once a month with them starting this year, all the seniors, and I have that during advisory. So if they miss it, they've missed all of the information out there at Tech Center, or if they just happen to be late one time, then we can work through that. But students who just do not attend advisory, then we have a problem. Please stay on top of them for their grades. We don't want anyone slacking throughout their senior year and having their admission decision reversed. Again, I send scholarships to parents by email at the beginning of every month. So if you are not receiving those emails, you'll want to talk to your front office of your school to make sure that the email that you have at Infinite Campus is one that you continually check. Again, those family conversations are important, and just working with me because I'm at the schools 2 days a week. I really try to get as much as I can packed into those 2 days, but I try to answer you as quickly as I can. Important dates for Arbor. So October 2nd is Application Mania, and at 4 o'clock is Financial Aid Night. I put mandatory next to those because unless a student has to work, has to pick up a brother or sister, or has a game, they need to be there. I'll feed them. I would love for parents to come to Financial Aid Night also, but I want the students there so they can really understand and really start getting in on getting those college applications in and that FAFSA in. October 3rd is our Western Michigan University trip. March 8th is senior breakfast, and also in there, I did not add, but November 16th, the University of Michigan Flint trip was rescheduled, so that will be November 16th. More information about the senior breakfast will be sent out. May 3rd is Decision Day at 1:50 p.m. May 25th is early release, and then June 1st is their graduation. important dates for Canton Prep. October 1st is their Application Mania and Financial Aid Night. The same thing applies for them. Unless they have a game, have to work, pick up brother and sister, they need to be there. I will be feeding them also. October 11th, we are going to the University of Michigan Dearborn. March 1st is their senior breakfast. May 3rd is their decision day. May 25th is their early release. And June 8th is their graduation. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I am at Canton Mondays and Thursdays and Arbor Prep on Tuesdays and Fridays.